Hello.
Hi Fatma, I'm sorry for the delay.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
Um, we're going to be talking about the U.S. election today. So a lot of people are saying this is the most important election in modern history. Do you agree with that?
I think I tend to agree with that. I don't want to make super extreme statements, but I think that it's a pretty important election. I mean, sometimes I roll my eyes when I see headlines talking about how this is, a battle for the soul of America. But when you really get down to it, I think it really is a battle for the soul of America because Trump has violated so many norms that have been long established in American democracy. That him getting reelected really would solidify the way in which American democracy has changed during his tenure. So I would say, yeah, it's probably the most important election.
So we just talked about Trump and how he's violated norms. How do you think he's contributed to the social fabric of America? Have you seen that there's more like xenophobia or racism since the last election?
Yeah, there has. There's good data on this. So, the FBI records hate crimes, and data has been available for the last 25 years. And after Trump's election was the second largest spike in hate crimes in America. The only other spike that was larger was the one that came after September 11th in 2001. There's also good sort of observational data that shows that counties that held a Trump rally in 2016 saw like a 200% increase in xenophobic attacks compared to places that didn't have Trump rallies. And then there's also a good experimental evidence from surveys that shows that if you expose people to the kind of rhetoric that Trump engages in, that they're more likely to have negative opinions of minorities and outgroups. So I think it really does matter, like what the president says and what they get away with, because it becomes a part of the mainstream and it emboldens people who already had those views to be more open about those views. So I think that there's good evidence to show that he has negatively impacted the social fabric of America.
Yeah, so currently America is really divided. Do you think if Biden wins that will change, or do you think it's going to continue down the same trajectory?
That one is hard to say. Biden is trying really hard to sell himself as what he is, which is a moderate and someone who knew how to make, at least for a while, bipartisan deals, someone who wants to engage in, as he likes to say, civility. But I think that, when he takes office, which hopefully, inshallah, will be the case, he'll be in a different America, than the one that he sort of entered politics in, 35 years ago. And there's like less and less people on both sides that are willing to make compromises. And I think that's especially true for Republicans if they lose the presidency. So I'm not sure how much he'll be able to change because he's just one person and polarization in America has been growing for a long time. And now there are people on both sides that are not willing to compromise. But then again, if he gets elected into office, that means at least some people or a good portion of people were willing to compromise and not vote for their first choice representative, at least on the left. So I think it's an open question.
I'm just going to pivot now to foreign policy. How do you think do you think the outcome of this election is going to affect Pakistan at all?
I'm not sure. I think that when I think about foreign policy in general, Democrats and Republicans are not that different. If you sort of take a bird's eye view, I was talking to a friend who does U.S. foreign policy, who studies it quite extensively yesterday, about the Afghan peace process and whether he thinks anything would change if Biden was elected versus if Trump stayed in office. And he just thought nothing would change, that it would sort of remain the same overall. I think that Trump probably gets along better with Imran Khan than Joe Biden would. That's probably going to be the case. So that might change for Pakistan because I think that outside of the first couple of years, Trump was sort of hardline towards Pakistan, and he said a few things that really upset the leadership. But for the past couple of years, he's been pretty close to Imran Khan. Both leaders have made it very clear that they like working with each other. They're both big personalities. So I think that Imran Khan would face a tougher time with Biden, especially given that Obama was pretty tough on Pakistan compared to Trump.
And so my very last question to you is, if you could say something to Pakistani Americans, what would it be?
Vote. We don't vote. Pakistani Americans have a very, very low turnout rate. And so I think all I would say to them is they need to exercise that.
Do you think there's
the privilege that they have.
Do you think there's a reasoning behind why Pakistani Americans have such a low voter turnout? Because also there's also like an Indian lobby and a Jewish lobby, but there doesn't seem to be a Pakistani one.
There isn't, but there's more and more organization. So I'm a part of the American Pakistan Foundation, which is based in DC, and they've been doing a really wonderful job of Get Out the Vote campaign. And that's how I found out about the data of how many Pakistani Americans are actually registered but don't turn out to vote. I'm not entirely sure what the reason is. I think we're just a little disengaged because we're an immigrant community. And I feel like it takes immigrant communities a little while to get to voting. It's the same with Hispanic Americans as well. I mean, Texas is like majority minority, and it should be a blue state, but it's not, because Hispanic Americans a lot of the time don't turn out to vote. So I think part of it just has to do with sort of a lack of ownership over the country, maybe, but that's just a hypothesis. I think it's a good question, and it's one that lots of people are trying to study.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me.
Of course. I hope I was helpful, and I'm sorry again about the delay.
Oh, no worries. Bye-bye.
Bye.